May 21, 2024, News Report 1. On May 21, a Singapore Airlines flight from London to Singapore encountered severe turbulence during the flight and was forced to make an emergency landing at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok, Thailand, at 3:45 p.m. local time. The incident resulted in 2 deaths and 3 injuries. According to BBC, the first victim was a 73-year-old British man who likely died from a heart attack. The second victim died from injuries despite being sent to the hospital. In the incident, 32 passengers and 9 crew members were injured, with 7 sustaining serious injuries, mainly to the head. The flight had a total of 211 passengers and 18 crew members and was operated by a 16-year-old Boeing 777-300ER aircraft delivered to Singapore Airlines in February 2008. Singapore Airlines issued a statement on Facebook stating that the emergency landing was due to severe turbulence. Turbulence is caused by irregular atmospheric flow and can significantly impact the aircraft's performance and safety. According to data from flight information website FlightRadar24, the Singapore Airlines flight experienced a sudden drop in altitude from 37,000 feet to 31,000 feet, a decrease of 6,000 feet, about 1,800 meters, within 4 minutes after crossing the Bay of Bengal. Passenger Asmir told Reuters that the plane initially tilted and shook, prompting him to fasten his seatbelt. However, the aircraft suddenly descended sharply, causing passengers who were not wearing seatbelts to be thrown towards the ceiling. Some people hit their heads on the overhead luggage compartments, causing large holes in them. Others hit the light fixtures and oxygen mask locations on the ceiling, with some even breaking the light covers. Photos on Twitter show that all oxygen masks in the plane were deployed, and the cabin was littered with debris, with bloodstains everywhere. Singapore President Shang Damon expressed condolences to the victims on Twitter. Singapore Airlines stated that it is working with the Thai government, and its primary focus is on providing assistance to passengers and crew members. Singapore Airlines is widely recognized as one of the world's best airlines and a benchmark in the industry, with recent strong performance and plans to distribute bonuses of over 6 months. News Report 2. The National Bureau of Statistics released April's unemployment data on May 21, excluding students. The unemployment rate for those aged 16 to 24 was 14.5%, a decrease of 0.6 percentage points from the previous month. For those aged 25 to 29, the unemployment rate was 7.1%, down 0.1 percentage points, and for those aged 30 to 59, it was 4%, down 0.1 percentage points. The overall unemployment rate announced by the National Bureau of Statistics on May 17 was 5%, a decrease from the previous month and the same period last year. This indicates a downward trend in China's unemployment rate, suggesting an improvement in the economy. In the second half of last year, the National Bureau of Statistics stopped publishing unemployment rates by age group, with the last publication in June, when the unemployment rate for those aged 16 to 24 was 21.3%, a record high. Starting in January this year, the National Bureau of Statistics resumed publishing unemployment rates by age group, excluding all students, and divided the unemployment rate for those aged 25 to 59 into 2 groups, 25 to 29 and 30 to 59. According to recent data, the seasonal trend of youth unemployment rate is not exactly the same as in previous years due to the change in statistical scope. Before the adjustment, the youth unemployment rate usually started to rise in March each year and continued to rise until the graduation season in July or August, before gradually declining. However, because students are not included, the unemployment rate for those aged 16 to 24 remained at 15.3% in February and March, before significantly declining in April. Additionally, the unemployment rate for those aged 25 to 29 increased from 6.4% to 7.2% in March and then decreased in April. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics also shows that employment rates are relatively better in large cities, with an urban unemployment rate of 4.9% in 31 large and medium-sized cities, a decrease of 0.1 percentage points compared to the previous month, while the employment situation in second- and third-tier cities is less optimistic. However, the authenticity of these data has been questioned because China's economic situation did not improve in April but worsened. The paper reported that since the beginning of this year, cities such as Chongqing, Suzhou, Shangqiu, Putian, Jingdezhen, and Yingtan have issued risk warnings for the online car-hailing industry, warning of oversaturation and advising caution in joining the industry. Since May last year, similar risk warnings have been issued by cities such as Shenzhen, Changsha, Jinan, Wenzhou, Dongguan, and Sanya. In July last year, Shanghai announced a halt to accepting applications for online car-hailing businesses. By April this year, the Chongqing Municipal Transportation Bureau had issued a risk warning, stating that the online car-hailing market had become saturated. The spread of online car-hailing risk warnings from major cities to smaller cities indicates a worsening unemployment situation, rather than the improvement suggested by the National Bureau of Statistics. Online car-hailing, food delivery, express delivery, and other flexible employment forms are actually reservoirs for absorbing the unemployed. Many unemployed people choose to deliver food, run errands, or drive online cars when they cannot find other jobs. However, by lowering the definition of the unemployment rate, the National Bureau of Statistics keeps the unemployment rate at a low level, considering anyone who works 1 hour a week as not unemployed. Therefore, when the reservoir of online car-hailing is full, it indicates that there are too many unemployed people, and the unemployment rate problem is very serious. News Report 3. With the support of the Kuomintang, KMT, and the People First Party, PFP, the Taiwan Legislative Yuan passed some articles of the Parliamentary Reform Bill in chaos on May 21. The passed articles include 1. Contempt of Parliament. Officials in the future may not counter-question legislators while being questioned in the Legislative Yuan. If false statements are made, criminal responsibility will be pursued. 2. Strengthening personnel consent rights. In the future, the appointment of the Auditor General, Grand Justices, members of the Control Yuan, and members of the Examination Yuan will require the consent of more than half of the legislators. The remaining articles are still under review. On the morning of the same day, KMT legislators occupied the chairman's podium and, using their numerical advantage, rejected the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP's motion to revise and adjourn. According to Taiwan's legislative procedure, the bill should be reviewed item by item during the second reading or voted on after negotiation among party caucuses during the third reading. If passed, it will be promulgated by the president. If the president finds the bill difficult to implement, he can request the Legislative Yuan to reconsider it, and after reconsideration, a roll call vote may overturn the original resolution. Currently, none of the three major parties in the Legislative Yuan has a majority, with the DPP having 51 seats, the KMT 52 seats, the PFP 8 seats, and 2 seats held by independent legislators. It is quite difficult for the DPP to overturn the bill. During the Legislative Yuan session, 42 civil groups in Taiwan convened 18,000 people to protest outside the Legislative Yuan in the rain, with the number of protesters increasing. The protesting citizens mainly demanded that the parliamentary reform bill be sent back for reconsideration, holding up banners with slogans such as, "Against behind-the-scenes deals," "Against expanding powers," "I contempt Parliament," and chanting slogans such as, "No discussion, no democracy. If the KMT does not fall, Taiwan will not be well." Participants in the protests said they would rather fight to the end, even if there were fights in the Legislative Yuan, than see it turn into a People's Congress. Some demonstrators brought sunflowers to the scene, raising concerns that the protest would evolve into Sunflower Movement 2.0. In March 2014, the Sunflower Movement was sparked by the KMT's promotion of a trade pact with China, with students and civic groups occupying the legislative yuan, ultimately leading to the pact being scrapped and inspiring protests in Hong Kong. Legislative Yuan Speaker Han Kuo-yu expressed concern that the demonstration would turn into a sunflower movement and requested the closure of all gates of the Legislative Yuan, as well as asked the Taipei city government to mobilize police to maintain order. Political analyst Wu Seiqi believes that China hopes to restrain the DPP through the KMT's strength in the Legislative Yuan, but the KMT's approach is unlikely to succeed because the people hope to achieve social consensus through parliamentary consensus. The KMT is currently at risk of losing popular support. News Report 4. A spokesperson for the National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC, stated at a press conference on May 21 that the NDRC has identified a number of too heavy construction projects for investment projects funded by ultra-long-term special national bonds. Once the funds from the national bonds are in place, investment can be immediately allocated to accelerate construction. At this year's National People's Congress in March, the Chinese government announced that it would issue ultra-long-term special national bonds for several consecutive years, as an important part of Premier Li Keqiang's government work report. These national bond funds will be used for too heavy construction projects, namely the implementation of major national strategies and the construction of security capabilities in key areas. This year, 1 trillion yuan in special national bonds will be issued first. The NDRC stated that the next step is to implement the organization and implementation of the too heavy construction projects. This situation has raised some doubts. Some believe that the NDRC is issuing national bonds first and then looking for projects, indicating that the too heavy projects may only serve as an excuse for issuing special national bonds. Currently, the NDRC has just started to sort out some projects, and it remains to be seen whether these projects really exist. Therefore, the effectiveness of this policy implementation still needs further verification. News Report 5. British Prime Minister Sunak formally apologised on May 20 for the behaviour of successive British governments in the blood contamination scandal and promised to compensate the victims at any cost. The scandal in Britain dates back to the 1970s to 1990s when the country faced a shortage of blood supply and imported some blood products from the United States, some of which were contaminated with hepatitis C and HIV, leading to around 30,000 infections and about 3,000 deaths. This is the largest scandal in the history of Britain's public health system. In 2016, the scandal once again attracted public attention, with victims and their families pressuring the government to investigate and expose the truth. On May 20, the British government released a report on the blood contamination scandal. The 2,500-page report concluded that the blood contamination incident was not accidental but was due to negligence of successive British governments, the medical service system, and blood service agencies. The report pointed out that the main faults included, first, unsafe imported blood products for patient treatment that should not have been licensed for use in the UK, second, from 1993 onwards, personnel in the British health system deliberately destroyed relevant documents to preserve their reputation and save costs. The British government announced a compensation scheme totalling £10 billion for the victims. News Report 6. According to the Ming Pao, after being arrested for 8 months, Su Jiayin, the chairman of Evergrande Group, sold his luxury mansion in Hong Kong at half price. The mansion is located at Block B, 10 Pashan Road, Hong Kong, with a usable area of 5,171 square feet. The property was taken over by China Construction Bank in 2022 and was listed for sale a year ago, valued at 880 million Hong Kong dollars at that time. The final transaction price was 470 million Hong Kong dollars, equivalent to 53% of the original valuation. The identity of the buyer has not been disclosed. News Report 7. According to the website of the National Health Commission of China, Le Haichao, the secretary of the Health Commission's party group, went to the State Administration of Traditional Chinese Medicine for research and discussion on May 21. Lu Haichao listened to the report of the officials of the State Administration of Traditional Chinese Medicine, emphasizing the need to vigorously promote the culture of traditional Chinese medicine, promote the implementation of the Shenong's collection of 100 herbs project in the new era, enrich the treatment methods of traditional Chinese medicine, and develop more authentic medicinal resources. At the same time, it is necessary to strengthen the coordinated planning and formulation of the Health Commission and the State Administration of Traditional Chinese Medicine, enhance capabilities, and optimize services. Xi Jinping supports traditional Chinese medicine. During the Wuhan epidemic, Xi Jinping repeatedly emphasized the promotion of the combination of traditional Chinese and Western medicine for treatment. In 2020, the Beijing Municipal Health Commission also issued the Beijing Traditional Chinese Medicine Regulations, prohibiting any form of defamation of traditional Chinese medicine, and violators will be held criminally responsible. Traditional Chinese medicine is commonly used in the daily lives of Chinese people, but when the government takes it as a national policy, some people think it is harmful to the country and the people. Currently, the Chinese government often uses traditional Chinese medicine reagents for injection, which some people consider to be a very dangerous practice. News Report 8. According to a report by Nikkei News in Japan, the Tokyo police announced the arrest of a Chinese man named Su Qian on May 21. Su Qian was arrested for posting on Twitter that he intended to use a knife to stab children at a kindergarten in Tokyo. The report stated that the 21-year-old Su Qian lives in Katsushika-ku, Tokyo, and on May 13, he posted on Twitter that he planned to commit a crime using a knife. On May 17, he posted a photo of Shinkoiwa Kindergarten in Katsushika-ku, saying he found it difficult to carry out his plan because parents often come to the kindergarten to pick up their children. After netizens discovered Su Qian's posts on May 19, they reported him to the police and informed Shinkoiwa Kindergarten. The kindergarten announced a one-day closure on May 20. The report said that Japanese netizens consider Su Qian to be a terrorist and believe he should be arrested and deported immediately. News Report 9. Recently, officials of the Federal Reserve have made a series of speeches, lowering the market's expectations of an interest rate cut. Federal Reserve Vice Chairman Jefferson said in a speech that although recent inflation has slowed, it is still too early to judge whether inflation will fall back to the 2% target. Another vice chairman responsible for supervising financial affairs, Ball, also said that while U.S. inflation data is disappointing, the economy remains strong, with steady growth and low unemployment, so he believes more time is needed to assess the effectiveness of tightening policies. Cleveland Fed President Mester pointed out that inflation progress in the first quarter has stagnated, and inflation risks have risen, but he believes it is unlikely that the Fed will cut interest rates 3 times this year. Atlanta Fed President Bostic stated that the Fed needs more time to reach the 2% inflation target. These speeches indicate that the Fed may not cut interest rates this year. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reported that Glenn Berg, chairman of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, resigned due to widespread new harassment issues at the FDIC. Members of Congress have expressed doubts about Berg's leadership and believe that fundamental reforms are needed, starting with a new leadership. Berg has been in office at the FDIC for 20 years and will step down after his successor is determined.